So tonight we'll be talking about superpowers. Superpowers. And the reason is because it's not uncommon for many human beings to believe that they have superpowers or that there is some type of extra powers that could be accessed perhaps in the spirit realm. And humans want to know how they can get beyond just the simple flesh and bones and the limitations of what we are in the physical realm, and how to reach into the potential that we may have as human beings to actually access what could be superpowers, special abilities. And so we'll talk about some of the common perceptions of what is discussed as being superpowers amongst healing communities, so that you can really take a look at it and be able to look at things from a logical, scientific standpoint, and to know really where your power lies. Because we are powerful. We just have to understand where to actually invest our hope, where to invest our energy, so that we can actually be optimally effective. So a common gift that's referred to in the healing community is intuition. Intuition. So it's not uncommon to hear, well, you just got to trust your intuition. It's like, well, how do I know if someone's a narcissist, or how do I know if someone's an abuser, or how do I know if I'm going to be in danger? And they say, you know what, you just got to trust your intuition. And the idea there is that you have something inside you, some inner voice, something that's inside you that's wise, that knows more, that is beyond what you can perceive with your physical eyes. It's something inside you that can guide you. Some people will say, you just gotta talk to your conscience. But a common term is intuition. It sounds like something in itself that is powerful. When you look up intuition or gut feeling in the dictionary, then you see a definition that says the ability to make a decision based on very little information, little to no information. And that essentially is what intuition is. It is you making a choice, a call, a decision, a move, an action based on having little to no information. You just meet someone and your intuition tells you, I can't trust this person. Or you meet someone, your intuition can tell you the opposite. I feel I can trust this person. Or you're in a situation in a sketchy area or a sketchy scenario, and your intuition tells you, I got to get out of here. Many people have stories on top of stories of times they had something inside them that was telling them that they should do something, and they listened and they were glad they did. But what doesn't sell as many newspapers are the hundreds and hundreds of stories of times that people had something inside them that was telling them to do something, and the results of doing so really bore no fruit. So
a new meetup.
there are hundreds of stories of people who have thought that something inside them was telling them to do something, and it really bore no fruit, having followed through on it. Or there were times that people had something inside them that was telling them to do something, and it led them to do something negative, something that they later regretted. So what really is there with this intuition? Is it really something that is inside of us that we can trust more than we actually trust ourselves? It's definitely worth taking a look at, but we have to understand that anything inside of us, such as our subconscious mind, which is what the control center of the intuition would be hinged on, is not infallible. It's not infallible, meaning it's not perfect. So you may have an inner voice or an inner impulse or a gut feeling, but there's no way I could tell you that that gut feeling is always going to be correct, because it's not. The reality is, at times your intuition may mislead you. We may have a gut feeling, especially when we fall in love, where we feel like this is the one. I know this guy or this gal is everything and they are something special, and I've never felt like this. And so you're making moves and you're making decisions in your life that are based on a feeling, only to realize later on that that feeling misled you. Please do not put your faith in well-meaning individuals that tell you that the secret to your not making mistakes and doing the right thing is by listening to a voice inside you. The voice that is inside you is your subconscious mind. It is a part of your brain that operates automatically like a computer system. Yes, it is inside you. Yes, it is speaking, but it's not always correct. It is not infallible. Sometimes your subconscious mind plays music. Sometimes your subconscious mind has a song that's caught in and on a loop. Sometimes it has rumination where it's thinking and thinking and thinking about something negative or embarrassing on a loop. So your subconscious mind, i.e., your intuition, needs to be trained. So it can be a powerful ally. You just cannot assume that it always will be. You have to train your intuition. So, for instance, you look at professional athletes, the way they play the game. If you take basketball, soccer, they are intuitive in the way they play their game. They can anticipate what their opponent is going to do if they're moving to the right or the left. And they'll tell you, well, I know what he's going to do because I could see when his belly button does that, or when he turns his head like that, he's going to go back. And they'll explain it to you. And you're like, wow, that's crazy. But they are intuitive. But how did they get those intuitive gifts? Was it because they were born from their mother's womb, knowing how to anticipate what their soccer opponents were going to do? Or understanding when to go up for a block in basketball? Babies are not born with these abilities. That is not scientific. They develop their intuitive gifts by training their intuition. How? Through repetition. They have been playing the game since they were children. Through repetition, through practice, again and again and again, they start to learn the patterns. And they're able to assess the patterns at such a rapid rate that their subconscious mind can assess it before they even have time to process what their subconscious mind is doing. They have trained their intuition. Is it a superpower? You bet it is. It's amazing. But you should not think it's magic, or that they were born with it, or that it just fell upon them from the sky. They had the ability to train it, which is good news for you, because you are endowed with an intuition as well. You have a subconscious mind, and so you have an ability to train your subconscious mind. You have an ability to train your intuition. You can train your intuition to do a variety of things, but you can train it to keep you safe. You can also train it to help you, to move you towards opportunity, towards success. How do you train it? Patience, repetition, consistency. Use visualization to train your intuition as to how you like to respond in situations. Use visualization to train your intuition as to what it is looking for in life, which opportunities you are striving towards. And your intuition will give you a ping and let you know, hey, I've got something over here. Pay attention. You can train it into a superpower. Along these lines, it's not uncommon to read about empaths. And when I refer to empaths, I'm referring to those who have split from their trauma to be empathic, but lacking in ego, typically. Those who are termed as super empaths would then be not lacking in their ego and would still have their empathic abilities. But what empathic abilities do you really have if you find yourself as a trauma survivor and you feel like you are an empath? What are your actual abilities? So a common one, and I was just reading about this one today, where it says that empaths have psychic abilities. Is that true that a trauma survivor now is so empathic that they are actually psychic? One woman who believed that she had psychic abilities was explaining in her article that one day she emailed a friend that she hadn't seen and talked to in a long time and said, you know what? I'm having a psychic feeling that you are going through something right now. And I just wanted to reach out and spread positivity and love. And that friend wrote back and said, wow, that is amazing. Just yesterday, I was having a bad day. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you. And the woman said, this is an example of my psychic abilities. Now, when I read that example, I could certainly relate. As an empathic person myself, it's not uncommon that I may have an idea that comes to mind about an individual who could be going through something, someone I see in a room, or someone I haven't seen in a long time. They could be across the country, and I can reach out to them, and sure enough, they appreciate my compassion, my warmth, and my thoughts. And in fact, just last month, I reached out to my brother and said, you know, if I have any nieces or nephews coming, I want you to know that I want to be in their life. Just a guess. And sure enough, he said, I just found out this week that my wife is pregnant. So what does that show? Does Roman have psychic abilities? Well, that's far from the case. The reality is I've predicted many things in my life that have not come to pass, have not come to fruition. And it would be impossible for us to live in a world where things are foreordained and still be free individuals with free will. So we're not living in a situation where everything's already pre-written and we can predict with certainty what's going to happen or how someone's feeling from across the country. The reality is that woman, as well as any of us, have made guesses, and many have been right and in good timing, and sometimes we've been wrong. But we tend to forget about those times where we didn't necessarily have it right. We like to focus on the times that we got it. We're like, see, I'm powerful. I'm so amazing. You are powerful. You're powerful because you're compassionate. The fact that you would reach out to someone you love or someone you care about and show them that you're thinking about them, it's touching. That in itself is a gift and a power that you shouldn't underestimate. But the reality is, on average, Americans say that they experience 60 bad days per year, which means that the average American is feeling like they're going through one bad day every single week, sometimes two in a week. So really at any time, if you text anyone and say, hey, I feel like you're going through something, chances are they would say, yeah, I just had a bad day recently. In fact, 20% of Americans say that every day or almost every day is a bad day for them. 20%, that's a lot. So if your friend happens to be a 20%er, then you may intuitively or psychically have the premonition that they are going through a bad day, and you can do that 365 days a year, and you're going to be right most of the time because they're part of the 20% that feel like there's always something that they're going through. There's always something that they're trying to overcome. So recognize that your gift is that you're a compassionate person and that you care. Don't stop reaching out to people and showing them your concern and being there for them. But don't start believing you have abilities that aren't scientifically proven. I want to empower you with the truth. Please understand. I'm not trying to knock down things that may have made you feel good in the past. I want you to see yourself and the world as it really is, because seeing yourself and the world properly frees you from mental illness, believing in the truth. So, what about the idea that empaths can feel the feelings of others? We touched on this briefly in our discussion on Wednesday. And it is true that that's kind of what empathy is, right? It's your ability to feel another person's feelings. But when we look at it and we break it apart and kind of stretch it out to see it for what it really is, we're not literally feeling the emotion that's inside another person's body. Their emotions come from the chemicals that are in their system that are being released in their bloodstream. The chemicals that get released in their bloodstream happen silently. It doesn't travel through the room or across the country to us. So we can't feel what chemicals are currently being released into another person's bloodstream. What you can do is you can observe a person's behavior. You can sense the sound energy in the room. You can sense heat energy. You can sense with your eyes using the light particles that are bouncing off of that person if their foot is moving, if their hand is moving, if their eyes are moving, if they're twitching. And all of these things put together, you can come up with an idea of how they may be feeling. And you're especially good at that if you are a survivor of abusive parents, because you learned hypervigilance so that you're actually watching every movement of your parents so that you can manage their feelings. Because if mom or dad gets mad, it was very scary. So you had to make sure that they were feeling good and anticipate if things were about to get abusive. So you developed your gifts of hypervigilance. That is scientific. It is a superpower. Sure. If you learn how to use it in a way that goes beyond just your basic survival. You see, what can happen with hypervigilance is it can get to a point where it becomes toxic because we're so hypervigilant that we're anticipating danger everywhere, even when it's not really there. Keeping our emotional state, our nervous system in hyperarousal. Hypervigilance is negative filtering. You're not feeling hypervigilant when you see someone feeling good. It's that you're feeling hypervigilant when you assume that they may be feeling bad, when you assume that they may be upset, angry, because those are dangerous emotions to you. So it's filtered by your negativity bias. So please understand, this isn't a magical gift. You developed it as a survival technique in your childhood. Now it's like a superpower because you may have really developed a good skill for reading people's body language. In fact, the FBI hires professionals that know how to read body language. Maybe you'd be someone who'd be able to do that quite well. It's been developed into a science because it is real. You can learn a lot from the way someone moves or their nonverbal gestures. In fact, mentalists, if you've ever heard of them, they're not magicians, but they're people who are also showmen that appear to be able to read the minds of other people. But what they're really doing is they're using technical skill that they've developed over years of practice. They use misdirection, psychological subtleties, the power of suggestion, reading of body language, and showmanship to demonstrate what appears to be extraordinary mind reading capabilities, or foresight, or clairvoyance, or telekinesis. But really, they've been spending the entire day implanting the letter 5 into your head. And so by the time you're at the show, you're thinking, how did he know? And I was thinking the letter 5. They've developed their skills over time. It's not magic, it's skill. Is it powerful? Yes. You can become so skilled in your ability to care for another person's emotion, to sense what they may be going through, that it will appear like a superpower, and that's okay. Empathy is a gift. Your ability to imagine what another person might be feeling, to feel something like that inside yourself. That's true empathy. And when it's done from a place of love, it's beautiful, it's productive, and people appreciate it. No one's ever said, I wish these people weren't so empathetic to me. People appreciate empathy and they appreciate your gift. So it can be a superpower. We just need to know how to hone it, how to really train the gift. Another superpower that's very commonly talked about is the power of manifestation. So manifestation refers to this concept. Colloquially, people think it's like, well, it's where you think of something and then it comes true or you make it come true. But manifestation is derived from various pseudoscientific self-help strategies. And purportedly, the idea is that you can make your own wishes come true by mentally visualizing them. This is linked to the belief of the law of attraction, which comes from New Thought spirituality. So all of this is a form of, is derived from a New Thought form of New Age spirituality. This concept that you can take a thought and then you can manifest this thought. But why does everyone on the internet say it's real? Why do all these millionaires say, hey, this thing really works if there's nothing to it? Truly, there has to be something to it. In fact, at Oprah.com, it says, thought leaders including Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, Gabrielle Bernstein, Iyanla, and I'm sorry to her for getting her name wrong, and Oprah have spoken about manifestation. And for the record, it says in parentheses, they all agree that you can manifest things. And then it says, keep in mind, it doesn't happen overnight. Although manifesting is about turning your dreams into reality, it does require you to take proactive steps towards whatever you desire. Now, I just want to pump the brakes for a moment. The actual original idea of manifestation comes from New Age spirituality, where you're just thinking and then it turns into reality. And so what these thought leaders have done is taken that New Age concept and turned it into something that is scientific, where if you think about something and follow it up with proactive steps, then it does come true. And that is accurate. But that is not magic. That's science. If I want mashed potatoes, I must first come up with the idea in my mind, and then I can manifest the mashed potatoes by getting up and going into my kitchen, peeling potatoes, boiling them to the point where they're really mushy, mashing them with a fork, adding salt and butter. And then when I'm eating my mashed potatoes, I can say, wow, I manifested these. The law of manifestation really works. Or I could say, I made these mashed potatoes and they're good. Either way, it's powerful. But just understand from a scientific standpoint, it is facts that if you visualize and you think of something in your mind, and then you follow it up with proactive steps, and you are relentless until you accomplish and achieve whatever it was you had in your mind, you will make your thoughts come to reality. Because the reality is that you have the ability to make stuff happen. You have the gift, the superpower of making stuff happen. Don't underestimate that gift because it doesn't have a cool, fancy title like manifestation. It's still a big deal. Animals can't make stuff happen the way we make stuff happen. I mean, sure, they have their instincts that can help them to build amazing hives, dens, and things like that, but they can't just say, you know what, I think I would like to get a bachelor's degree and just walk out of the forest and attend a university. They can't do that. We have the ability to not only make hives and dens, but we can literally just decide we're going to pursue a career in politics, or we're going to set up a youth group or a book club or have children. And we are just really in control on a fine-tuned level of what we can do, we are powerful. It is a gift. Your ability to make stuff happen is a superpower. Don't feel bad that it's not necessarily the law of manifestation. In fact, manifestation and making things happen has the same amount of syllables. It takes the same amount of effort to say it. And so whatever you call it while you're eating your mashed potatoes or you're enjoying your wealth that you've created, ultimately, I prefer that you, instead of calling it manifestation, call it me making stuff happen, because you're bringing the locus of control to you. You're taking the locus of power and you're bringing it where it belongs, which is you. You are powerful. When you say it's manifestation, it almost takes it out of yourself, and it's like there's some magical force in the universe or some spiritual force that was responsible for the hard work that you put in, but you have been given a gift, an ability to utilize your conscious mind, conscious thought, to visualize what it is you want, whether it's mashed potatoes or baked potato, and go and make it happen. And if you can do it with small things in the kitchen, you can do it with large things in your career, in your family life. You can change your personality. You can become what you want to be. You have the ability, the amazing ability to make things happen because you're powerful. So utilize it. Utilize it. Don't feel like it's something less, because it may not necessarily be connected to something magical. Feel like it's even more, because the matrix of the control is you. The matrix of power is you. You're a powerful being. You're something special. One of the greatest powers that we have, and we have so many gifts, like there's no way I could talk about all of the amazing gifts humans have, but one of the most amazing powers that I'll touch on is your ability to regulate your own nervous system. And this is a huge deal in trauma recovery, because the trauma occurs because of our inability to stop what was happening and regulate as a result of what happened to us. But when you can regulate your nervous system after a traumatic or violating event, after something rattled you or shook you, you have the power to untraumatize yourself. In fact, if you can regulate your nervous system, you can actually prevent mental illness from developing, or even work your way out of mental illness and heal. You have that gift of regulating your nervous system. Now, what does that mean? Let's break it down. The nervous system is what? It's a system of the body that allows you to feel, right? So your senses are tied into the nervous system, but also your emotional system is tied into the nervous system. The emotional system is like the nervous system, only it's metaphysical. So it's in pure energy, and the nervous system is actually physical. So it's actually the nerve endings in your body as they connect to the brain. Whereas the emotional system is the nervous system in the metaphysical sense inside of you, which allows you also to touch and feel and interact with the outside world, but by emotion. It's connected to the invisible things, such as love and friendship and kindness and generosity and hate and anger, rejection. All these things you can't feel with your physical nervous system. I can't see rejection or feel it in my hands. But when I sense it in the energy realm, in the thought realm, the emotional system is what's tied into that. But all of it comes together in the regulation of the nervous system. So when something makes you either hyper-aroused emotionally or hyper-aroused physically, it's all going to manifest the same way in the nervous system, with the rapid heart rate, the tension. It could be, you could feel flustered. You could feel like you're very hot. You could feel like you're overwhelmed in your senses. You could feel incredible pain inside of your system as a result of cortisol being dumped at toxic levels into your bloodstream. But if you can regulate it, which is a fancy term for calm it down, And this gives you incredible power, because now you don't have to stay in a traumatized state. You don't have to stay hyper aroused. You don't even have to fear anymore, because many trauma survivors are so afraid of being afraid that they don't do anything. Because they say, I wouldn't do that. I could feel afraid. But they're so afraid of feeling guilty that they wouldn't do anything. They say, I'm not going to try that because I'll feel guilty. But when you can regulate your nervous system, you don't have to be afraid of feeling guilty or afraid. You can simply make decisions that are logical. So how do you regulate your nervous system? Well, just about every single week, I tell you ways and strategies you can do that. There's the rule of 7 seconds, which is where you wait 5 to 7 seconds before responding to anything to keep you from reacting in trauma mode. When we react right away, we go into flight, fright, freeze, fawn, right? But when you pause and you let the emotion wash through you and you think 3, 4, 5, 6, it gives time for your logical mind to come online, you to analyze and present a superior response. That's the rule of 7 seconds. What is that rule of 7 seconds? It's a micro meditation. Meditation is one of the best ways of regulating your nervous system. There's breathing. So as soon as something has you nervous, you just that action. When you do that action, it slows down the energy in the brain and it starts calming the physiology of the body. Just that. I always breathe when I feel nervous. Just before this call. Okay, I'm going live. Sit right here in my chair with my camera off, just breathing. Why? It slows the energy in the brain and it calms the physiology of the nervous system, which allows me to deliver in a more calm manner, which allows you to sense my calm energy and to become calm yourself. And if I sense you're calm and you sense I'm calm, then everybody's a lot more calm. And I'm able to do a better job at my delivery. And you will see me and hear me pause many times to allow the logical mind to come on to make sure that I'm giving the superior response. You have the ability to regulate your nervous system. Those are just 2 simple tools. And that's half the game right there. I have a sophisticated tool called the JOT method. You can learn about all these on the TikTok page, the YouTube, or you can enroll in the healing course that's on the website. But the JOT method, it stands for Journaling Organizes Thoughts, teaches you how to actually cure rumination or anxiety in the moment within 15 minutes. And I'm grinning right now because I'm just thinking about my session with someone today. I'm sure she's on the call. And we went through the JOT method together. And I guess she has like these Fitbit things or something, and it's telling her heart rate. And she says, after we finished it, we just did a little 15-minute JOT method thing. And she said, oh my God, my heart rate's gone down to 70, almost 60. She says, it hasn't been like that in weeks. I've been at 80, 90 for weeks. And now my heart rate has gone down. Just like that. Utilize the method. It works. What percentage does it work? 100% of the time. There's not times that I'm using the JOT method and someone's like, you know what? This has not made me feel any better. It's not working. That doesn't happen. It works because we as humans are endowed with the ability to regulate ourselves. I want to empower you, so I've taught you the JOT method for free. It's right there on the YouTube. There's a video called How to Cure Your Anxiety 15 Minutes. You can use it for depression. It works. Use it for rumination. It works. You are empowered now. You can take it and use it to calm yourself. You can also use it to help your children so that they learn the gifts of being able to regulate their own nervous system. When you're walking through life, knowing that you have the ability to regulate yourself, you don't have to have fear anymore. And when you don't have fear, that means you can't be controlled. Because isn't the main way those in authority control us is through fear? When you can't be controlled, well, by God, you virtually become invincible and you feel free. You feel free because you cannot be controlled. I want you to experience that freedom. So if you're new here, jump on mindfreed.org, mindfreed.org. Get into the trauma healing course, take it for a month or two, and join us in being free from constant fear and anxiety and distress.